is a general sort of advice. Um, Not everything you build will be a startup, nor should it be a startup. So according to ChatGPT, a startup is a newly formed company aiming to rapidly grow by developing innovative products or services to address a market need. And a lot of things you want to build won't fall into that category. So one of my first projects was um, speaker splitting. So if you have a podcast, it would make an audio file of just speaker A and an audio file of just speaker B. And I launched that, and like people were using it, but it wasn't something that people were willing to pay for, and it's not something I cared deeply enough to monetize. But that helped me build the skills for what I did with Saved. So definitely do your fun side projects, even if they're not going to be startups. The most successful startup shell company was Imperfect Foods, and they started off as a nonprofit, and that experience inspired him to make Imperfect Foods, which then he sold for, I believe, over $1 billion. Yeah. The best startups will be somewhere in your area of expertise. And we're still in college. Like, I wouldn't think anyone here has an area of expertise, but like, start developing it. Just like do things in the areas you really care about, and that's all that matters. And then yeah.
Yeah, like last thing is like keep your team lean. We kind of had some issues with this where like we would like have like add people to Saved and like remove people from Saved, and really just have like a core group of people with strong skills and like build around that. Yeah, so that brings us to like co-founders. Co-founders are everything in a startup. Like we talk to each other more than we talk. I don't know about Eric. No, we do, I usually definitely talk to us more than you talk to.
I talk to these guys more than I talk to my girlfriend and like parents and like basically I talk to these guys more than everyone else in my life combined, which is I don't know if it's unfortunate or not, but it's true, and that's gonna be the reality of working in a startup. So
yeah, like all your time, like biggest commitment, and like more like committed than school at this point.
Yeah. And the number one indicator of success for Y Combinator, Y Combinator is like a startup accelerator for people that don't know. It's the amount of years the founders knew each other before making the company. So definitely try to work on projects with like people who you're friends with or people you meet here, because we're still in college. This is like one of the only times in your life where you'll be able to meet really cool people who also have a ton of free time. So take advantage of it as much as possible. And Startup Shell is a great space where we've kind of found the most, determined and passionate people who do stuff in their free time. So take advantage of that.
So then, like, again, huge part of doing a startup is building something that people want. You can build like really cool stuff, like really technically impressive stuff, but if nobody's willing to pay for it, then it's ultimately going to fail as like a startup.
Yeah, there's this really good book called The Mom Test, which I think everyone should read. It's like 50 to 60 pages long, but it tells you how to do customer discovery and talk to users. The way you interview people who are potential customers matters a lot, and you get like very different information from them depending on how you talk to them. So, like the very quick one sentence summary is don't tell people about what you're working on. Only ask them about their problems. And then yeah, everyone will lie to you.
Yeah, kind of like, especially for like everyone lying to you. My roommate actually, Amo, who's the inspiration for Saved, doesn't use Saved, even though like hundreds of other people do. And like I think like partially it's because he wasn't like honest about what he wanted out of a product. I think we were just lucky in that we found like an actual market where people had an issue through that. But,
yeah. But yeah, like your friends and your closest people around you especially will like lie to you. Like, yeah. Validate at every step, It's very easy to see like, oh, this is a problem people have. People say they have that problem, and then you build something, and then no one uses it, and you don't know why. So the best thing to do when that happens is to measure retention, and then interview like your first customers and talk to them like, hey, why aren't you using it as much as like you said you would? Is there anything I could add to this? Or are we not even solving like the real problem you're having? And we had to do this like 3 or 4 times where we completely changed what our product was.
Yeah. I mean, like, yeah, I guess as far as like changing what our product does, like Save has already gone through like a bunch of different iterations. Initially, when we started out, we weren't even doing like highlight detection. Or I guess I should preface this by saying like what we do. So Saved is a platform that kind of works on the customer side and the business side. For consumers, we are a clipping bot, and what that means is whenever you have a live streamer who goes live, we automatically detect the hype moments and automatically edit them so they're ready to post on short form platforms like YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. And on the business side, what we do is we say, hey, we have a ton of streamers who are using Saved. We'll direct them all to your specific game if you pay us money for however many views they get. So like that's like kind of dumbed down.
Yeah.
And to get from like just simply editing, which was like our initial, like our very first MVP was just editing Twitch highlights. So it took us like over a year to get to this.
Yeah, it's been over a year, and I think like 4 major iterations. But at the end of the day, we're still solving the main problem, which is saving streamers time. So yeah. And yeah, this is like what the startup curve will look like. This is Paul Graham. He's one of the founders of Y Combinator, and he kind of made this to show like how you will feel when you make a startup. So at first, it's really fun and it's really novel. So you'll spend all your time working on it. You'll see like the progress you make. You'll learn a lot, and then eventually it'll stop being fun because you see your friends getting like really cool internships, or like you want to work on the next idea you have, and you're just like really sad. Yeah, and then there's like wiggles of false hope. So every time you make progress, you'll make the progress, but it won't actually like help like get you to your end destination. You'll just learn something from it. So eventually you'll start making progress from that, and that'll take you to the promised land, or what Paul Graham calls the promised land, which is also called product market fit, also abbreviated to PMF. It's like this really like loose term that people started using, but it just means when you make something that people love using. And the best test to see if you have PMF is if people are like knocking down your door to use your product. And there's startups that are around for like 5-6 years, have raised $10-20 million who don't have PMF. So yeah, don't think you have PMF because like 100 people signed up for your product. So yeah, this is our journey. So this is a graph of my semesterly GPA. My first semester, I got a 4.0 GPA, and then I also got into Startup Shell, and then every semester after that, it kind of tanked. And then, because it was actually the old name of SaveGG. So yeah, as soon as I started that, my GPA went in the 2s. But yeah, it's a sacrifice you guys will have to make, and I think it's worth making.
Yeah, so that's Moog. That's my roommate. He actually inspired Save. So kind of like a quick backstory. I lived in. Do any of you guys live on in dorms right now, or is like nobody here? Where do you guys live? Okay. Do you know where Elkton is then, right? Yeah. So I lived in Elkton. That's Lance. He was also my roommate. So all 3 of us lived in Elkton. Moog was a Twitch streamer. So I would actually like, whenever I would go like visit my friends, I would see him like streaming on Twitch, and then like I would say hi to his chat, and he would spend like a ton of time like editing highlights or like to post on TikTok, and he would like never hang out with us. I mean, he still doesn't hang out with us, and he also gets Saved. So kind of like, but that was like my inspiration for Saved, and that's what I applied to Startup Shell with. So I was like, okay, like, what if I can get rid of all of this like editing and automate the whole process? And I actually met Ayush at Open House, and then later on we met Eric, and then that's kind of how the idea came into fruition.
So we started February 26, 2024, and we've been working on it since. Yeah, we weren't very good at coding when we started. You'll start developing a lot of skills when you start working on projects, and you'll realize how much school doesn't teach you. So yeah, just don't be discouraged if it's like really hard.
Yeah. And like the first iteration of Saved ever was a Discord bot. So you take like a Twitch clip, because they have like these like URLs, and you just type in /clip, and then we coded the bot to like process it and then give you this embedded URL, and you open it and it's like your edited clip.
Yeah, but no one used it.
Yeah,
like we had actually 0 users for this.
was like after like how many weeks of coding? Like,
This was like 2 or 3 months of work. Like
yeah.
we would like sleep here. Like
Yeah.
this is Akash like one morning.
Yeah.
This is me one night. And yeah. And we also did like a lot of outreach. We found like email marketing to be really successful. So we got a list of every university that has an esports team, because that was one of our angles that we're trying to go for. And we actually had a decent amount of people respond to us saying that they're interested. And a few people even like agreed, like we like set a price, they're like, okay, that sounds good. And then they never paid us. So yeah, you'll experience that a lot. Like don't count a sale unless like the money's in your bank account.
Yeah. And then that's what our website used to look like. Literally, you would just select where the gameplay would go on the phone and where like the face cam would go, and then it would spit out this like really crude clip.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was Chirp Expo. I don't know if we're gonna do it this year. Is anyone on board here? Are we doing Chirp Expo? So we might be doing Chirp Expo this year. And what Chirp Expo is like everyone sets up like a ton of tables around Startup Shell, and there's like 3 judges, and you just pitch what you're working on, and there's like 3 prizes. So we won the most hustle award, which is like our product wasn't that good, but we're just grinding really hard on it. So we got paid $1,000 by Startup Shell. There's also like other grants that we did, like the Dingman E-Fund and the Chirp Startup Accelerator, also run by Dingman, and they have yet to pay us.
Yeah.
So yeah, shout out Startup Shell.
I thought you were gonna say shout out to you.
No, this is us in the summer, so yeah.
Sorry to interrupt. So
Yeah.
David hasn't paid you your check yet?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, it's quite bad.
Yeah, that's us during the summer. So we did the Terp Startup Accelerator, and like we would literally sit at that desk and like, I mean,
Yeah.
actually, I didn't really like have a place to live, so I was sleeping in the kitchen.
Yeah.
It was pretty rough.
I
And-
brought my old mattress topper into Shell, and Akash would sleep back there.
Yeah.
And then he would just like use my shower when
Yeah.
he needed to shower.
Wait, don't say that. I shower once a day. Like not when I need to shower. Yeah.
I don't know about that.
Yo, yeah, but it was pretty rough.
Yeah.
And then also like keep in mind during this time like no users. Like we made a pretty terrible mistake of not talking to people who had like this kind of issue. So we were just like building for no reason, really.
Yeah, building for nobody.
Yeah.
And it sucked. So we don't have any photos between the summer and start of school, but what we ended up doing is we got invited to an NBA 2K League event where there's people that play like 2K, which is like basketball video games, and we started professionally video editing for some of those streamers. And that's what really helped us, because I would tell them I'm a professional video editor, even though I've never edited before, and they would like give me their stuff to like clip, and I would try to use our product and it wouldn't work. So I'd spend all my time working on the product to make it work for the user. So that's how we really started making a good product that people liked using.
Yeah. And then like a few months later, school kicks up again, and the hatchery opens. So we got into the hatchery. Yeah, and I think by this time we were also doing highlight detection.
Yeah.
So you could throw in like an existing stream, and then it would spit out a bunch of edited highlights.
Yeah, for people who don't know what the Hatchery is, it's a program run by the CS school. There's like 3 brothers who graduated from UMD, the Mokhtarzada brothers, and they sold their they made 3 companies. One they sold for 12 million, the second one they sold for 120 million, and the last one they sold for 1.2 billion. So they're really cool people. They made Truebill, which is now Rocket Money, and they're like advisors there. So they give 4 student startups every year $10,000, and you get twice a month you get advising from them. So they come to IREB, and they like buy you pizza and like talk to you about your startup, and it's really helpful.
And then I think it was around this time
Same outfit.
that we met her. Same outfit. Yeah, this is actually crazy. I think this was on Snap. Like all of these pictures are on Snap actually. But yeah, and then Eric is actually like really good at ML. You want to talk about
Yeah,
that?
so I do a lot of computer vision research and machine learning research. I started since high school and quite a few publications here and there. And yeah, what I did was was that like I launched the new idea or the new product, and that was the Twitch bot.
Can you speak up too?
Yeah, I got you. So
Thank you.
yeah, I launched helped launch the Twitch bot, and that's how we do real time detection, and that's a clip bot. And what that does is that we analyze the stream like for like every 5 minutes, and then get the best clip from that, etc. So instead of people having to like put in the stream like link, we do it in real time, and that way we can better meet our consumers.
Yeah, and for context, the way like Eric started working with us is me and Akash were working on it, and Eric overheard. And was like, "Yo, that's such a cool idea," and then he was like, "I used to play professional esports," and I was like, "How did I not know that?" Because I've known Eric for like over a year before we started working on Save. So I guess like the takeaway from that is like there's a lot of really cool people here, and the idea is like the more like interactions you have, the more collisions there are, and the more chances you have to like increase like your luck. And yeah, we still have like no users and no money coming in. So what I ended up doing is LinkedIn outreach, where I compiled. So our next like angle was like tournament organizers, and we'd make clips for these tournaments. So I got a list of the top 200 tournament organizers in the world, and I would search the company up on LinkedIn, find anyone who's like remotely related to content or esports, and I would like cold message them like, "Hey person, I'm a student at the University of Maryland. Would you have 15 minutes to talk about this?" And a lot of people like were receptive. Like we probably had like 20 to 40 calls, and one of those calls turned into one of our co-founders. His name is Victor. He's like a 35-year-old dude from Connecticut. But yeah, it was like really successful. And then Victor brought in a lot of our first B2B contracts, whether it was like $100 like for every single event. But that really helped give us credibility and launched us forward. So yeah, LinkedIn outreach worked really well for us as well. So yeah, we don't have any photos of what our website used to look like, but basically we went to the Hatchery meeting, and everyone tells like student entrepreneurs to like spend as much time selling as possible, but they saw our product and were like, this is like not that good. So spend time building your product, because you're all CS majors, right? It's like there's no excuse for your product to look bad. So yeah, and that's like very like counterintuitive advice, and I don't think anyone in the world would have given us that advice except the Mokusato brothers. So yeah, after that I started like building more. We have like 1,800 commits now on just the back end. Every commit is like some change you make to your code. So yeah, and then this is like every green dot is like the change I made on a day. So like after that advice, like it picked up a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, so this was like during the summer. Or actually, so should I talk about like all three?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we've applied to YC, which is like Y Combinator, like the startup accelerator we mentioned. They're based in California, so just for a little bit of context, they give you $500,000, move you out, and then mentor you personally for 3 months. It's a really cool program because you just get to grind your startup and forget about everything else just for that like short period of time. But companies typically see a huge amount of growth in their valuation and like in their product.
Yeah. So Starshell has sent like a company to Y Combinator for like the last like 8 years in a row now.
Yeah.
So it's a really good pipeline. Axel is the latest company. They got in this winter batch, so they moved out of San Francisco. I don't know if they're gonna come back to school, but like it's lucky the dream.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And oh wait, yeah. Oh, wait, sure. Okay. So we actually applied like I think 3 times.
3 times.
Total. This was during the summer when we were building and not validating our product at all with anybody. And as you can see, we didn't even make it to an interview, which was actually like pretty fitting because we had like no traction and we didn't understand what our users really wanted at all.
Yeah.
In our second rejection, which was last November, so our second application, we actually did get an interview, and we were really like surprised. Do you know, was this pre-pivot to TwitchBot or post pivot?
It was.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's me.
Yeah. So basically, they saw that we had like 50 to 60 users, we're all builders, and that we're passionate about it, and they interviewed us. But then they saw that like no one really loved our product, and they were like pretty correct about that. Our retention numbers were really bad. Like the people who would pay would churn after a month. So yeah, it wasn't great. And then yeah, we applied again for the spring batch.
Which is April, May, and June.
Yeah.
had an interview and then we got rejected again. But this time they said that instead of having a like kind of like a and I guess like for a little more context, we applied with around 1,300 users. So we had like 6x or is that
26.
Over 6x.
really?
Yeah.
I thought we were at 200.
We had like 50.
We had like 50.
Oh wait, yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we had grown like a ton, and they were impressed by the traction, but what we learned is that Saved was kind of like a one-time use product, right? So it's like you add it to your chat and then you don't really interact with it again. So the product itself isn't growing in value, and that's kind of when we started thinking like more big picture. Whereas like, let's say you have a bunch of streamers using your product, how can you leverage that to help like businesses market their games? And that's kind of where we were going. I guess you want to talk about that?
Yeah, so we made the product and we actually made a Reddit post. And from this Reddit post, we had a ton of users. So this was like the #1 Reddit post on r/Twitch, which has like 2.2 million users. And we got a ton of users out of this. Like you can see like our users spike. Yeah. And yeah, someone from Project Sparrow, which is a video game publisher, reached out to us and was like, "You have a really good product. Like we really love using this. We'd love to talk to you guys." And we basically started copying like a business model that Clipping.io and Walk were using, where businesses allocate a budget, and from that budget they pay out creators who get like views. So let's say Project Sparrow spends $1,000 and they pay out $1 for every 1,000 views a creator gets. So they guarantee 1 million organic views on their product, which is gonna have a way higher return than like $1,000 would. So yeah, it's like it's non-traditional marketing, and record labels actually pioneered this. So if you guys are familiar with like Kai Cenat or Blackboy Max, Drake's record label pays them money to like react to Drake's like clips on stream, and then they also pay money to people who clip those streams and put them on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and they get paid out for how views they get. So yeah, that's like the new wave. And yeah, so this is really cool. And I also spent a lot of time on the copy of this post. I think one of my biggest skills I developed in Startup Shell was like writing really good Reddit posts. And the way you do that is like you go to the top all-time posts on that subreddit and then try to understand what made them successful and copy that and put it into your own. So a lot of times like images help a lot, personal stories help a lot, and then mentioning that you're a university student, people really like resonate with that a lot.
The result of that Reddit post actually was that people, actually kind of a funny story. So people started joining our Discord server and we grew to around like, I think now we're at 250 or 260 people, 280. So the funny thing is so many people are joining our Discord and asking for it in the comments of that Reddit thread that I was like, okay, you know what? Like if everyone's asking for it, let's just put it in the post. So I put the Discord link in the post and it got immediately taken down by the auto mod because you can't market Discord servers on like Reddit on like subreddits. And so we had this like hour of turmoil where we were like spamming the moderators of the subreddit like, hey, this is urgent, please put our post back up, because it only had I think like 50 likes at the time, but it was already the top post on the subreddit, which meant that it would have like extrapolated a lot, and we were scared about the retention. But we were like super lucky in that people really like loved that we were being scrappy and whatever, and they all joined our Discord and gave us a ton of feedback and support. It was like really motivating.
Yeah. The biggest advantage you have as a startup is that you don't have a lot of users. So you can cater to every user like you can spend a lot of time per user basically. So your customer support should be way better. A lot of first-time founders make the mistake of trying to like act like Google or Apple, where they give like really impersonal like customer support. But what like we've been doing is anytime anyone has like an issue, like Eric responds like within like 5 minutes, and it's helped us a lot. People like our product has been like really unstable for the past like 13, 14 days, and normally people would give up and like move on and be really negative, but because we provide that customer support and we like proactively reach out to users, they don't actually get that upset, and they've been like really positive and sticky with us. Yeah, our product went down for like a week and a half because of the traffic. And a lot of times when you want to make a startup, you don't write really good code because you just want to get something out there. And I still think that's the correct way to do it. But eventually you will reach a point, hopefully, where you do need to scale your code, and that's when you need to start hiring people. Before then, you shouldn't spend money or time or energy on making your code more efficient. So yeah, don't spend time making things efficient until you need to. But also learn and understand your code, because that's a mistake we made. We didn't even understand how our code worked at one point because GPT wrote 95% of it. So when things broke, we didn't know how to fix it. So we spent a lot of time learning, and we ended up bringing Bobby onto the team. And because of that, we've been able to get more stability. But yeah, it's still an ongoing issue for us. Yeah. Feel free to ask any questions. That's it. Pardon?
Can you explain your marketing again? That was
Yeah.
really interesting.
So we did all organic marketing. So we made a Reddit post. So there's something called mod approved advertisements. So we had to message the moderators of the subreddit hey, can you make an ad? And they tag it it's an advertisement. But the way I did the copy of the Reddit post made it seem like a really good story. And yeah, that was the only marketing that worked for us. And then also the email and LinkedIn marketing helped a lot too. But that wasn't as effective because when you reach out to people, they're not as receptive versus when they find you organically. So yeah.
Also, really quick for the Reddit stuff, if you're gonna do these mod approved posts, definitely reach out to the mods well before you want to make the post, or before you're ready to, because it took us a month to get approval for that. And if I think if we did it a month before, we wouldn't have gotten the same reaction that we did.
Yeah, what you said about having outages but then also having good customer support, really important. We had a really bad outage on Saturday, but and usually people get livid, right? But because we were responding to people immediately saying, hey, this is broken, we're looking into it right now, it really does help a lot. And there's this thing, this I think Paul Graham said it, but you need to make your product good that people will work through the bugs and the outages and use it anyway. That's when you know you have a product people resonate with. So the fact that people were still willing to give you guys a shot after all the outages and shit, that's a good sign.
Yeah, thank you.
What's some goals you guys have for SAVE for the end of the year?
Yeah. So our goals have kind of changed. Before it was just to make something people really liked, but now we kind of did that. So our goal is just to take this full time. So I'm graduating this semester, as long as I pass my classes. I'm graduating this semester. And then Eric and Akash have one more year, but our goal is to just in the summer work on this full time and either get into YC, raise venture capital, or get into a few more accelerators where we could just take a gap semester for them and just work on this full time. So right now we're on the scaling and raising venture capital phase.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Can you go back to the graph of your users?
Yeah.
So what happened? Was that when your site went down?
No, so this is a Reddit post. So this is new users. So yeah. I can show you our analytics page is actually just posted for anyone to see.
I think that's sign-ups, not active users.
Yeah, it's probably not, but it'll be interesting for you to see. Yeah. Arden?
Can you explain that model again of you said it was similar to the music industry?
Yeah, so the music industry pays people who clip based on how many views their clips get. So we give that to the creators. So people will pay us to get 1 million views, $1,000 to get 1 million views, and we'll pay out the creators $500 of that $1,000. And then we'll also charge them to use our product in the first place. So we get both ends of that.
Oh, so the creators come to you, they pay for the clip, and then you then just give them a reimbursement depending on how many.
Yeah, so they pay a monthly subscription. Yeah, so our monthly subscription is $29 a month. We actually raised it from 19 to 29. Yeah, your goal is to charge people a lot of money. A lot of people are shy about that because they're not secure in how good their product is, but yeah, charge people money. It's really important.
So they pay the subscription, you pay them for
The views they get.
the views,
Yeah.
getting the views, and then you also get money from one more place.
Yeah, Yeah, so the game publishers pay us to get them views.
Got it.
So we take a cut of that as well. Yeah.
Have you guys thought about, or like, if you did, like, how do you balance like equity in the company?
Oh yeah, that's a really good topic we actually forgot to cover. So all of us are staked at 30% each, and then 10% reserved for like future employees. So it's I think like Eric joined like 6 to 8 months after me and Akash started working on it, but we still gave him the same 30% that we had, and that was really important. Michael Seibel, who actually founded Twitch, basically says like be more generous with your equity than you think you should be, because people will work harder if they have equity. Like people will be more invested in it, and something you do to protect yourself is have a cliff and a vesting period. So a cliff is like for if you leave within 1 year, or you're asked to leave within a year, you don't get any of the equity. And then the vest is like after the year to like the next 4 years, you get like a percentage of your equity every single month. So it still incentivizes people to like work on it for the future, and it doesn't like have dead equity where people like left the company and you can't do anything about it. Yeah, go ahead.
Have you ever like thought about like needing more manpower and like trying to get on like interns or something?
Oh yeah,
Oh, man.
we had a team of like 8 people at one point, and it was really bad because I actually firmly believe that no company should ever hire interns unless like you're making like $100 billion a year, because interns take a lot of energy to manage. They take a lot of time to get up to speed. They write really bad code they have to fix, and they just like don't really provide any value, if we're being honest. And yeah, we kind of learned that the hard way. Even like very talented people, like they still take like 2 to 3 months to get acclimated to like a code base. So yeah, we ended up like firing everyone except for us 3, and then Tarek, who was doing more marketing, which is why like he was like still like valuable. We also had another co-founder, Aaron Chen, and we also like we had a trial period with him, and it just didn't end up working out. But we also offered him like the same 30% we offered Eric.
I think the reason behind that is because the way you like evaluate equity is based on how much value the person will create, not how much work they've done.
Yeah. So yeah, like we were like on a pretty good exponential curve for like views, and then our product broke. And it's been like getting a little bit better, but yeah.
So what's your plan for marketing towards gaming companies?
Yeah, so that's like more B2B outreach. So that's gonna look like LinkedIn messaging primarily, and then also warm introductions. So like through the process, like we've like made a few connections with like VCs and like game publishers, which we kind of want to leverage to get to like the people like Epic or Microsoft. And we have actually gotten to them. Like deals are in the works, but something really important to do is make a case study. So that's what we're doing with Project Sparrow. We're showing like, hey, they spent $1,000, but they're gonna get like a 10 to 20x return on that $1,000. So that's why you should try this out as well. Our best performing emails were case study emails. Yeah.
What do you guys think about VC money? Or is that too early?
So originally I was like really against taking VC money, but at some point you kind of have to, because if you want to take something full time and you don't have any savings, like what are you gonna live off of, you know? And VCs are really good when you're like have something that's high growth potential. So when you have a product that doesn't have like users and people don't like using, there's no point of taking a VC. But when you have something where you know you can spend like X dollars and get, you know, X plus N back, VC money makes sense. And definitely work with the right VCs. Yeah.
So you mentioned about you're gonna raise money. So
Yeah.
how are you evaluating the saving? What does that mean?
Yeah. We actually like don't. It's like kind of hard to evaluate early stage startups. So, like typically YC startups are evaluated between $15 and $20 million. So, like any like high potential early stage growth startup is going to be around like $10 to $20 million valuations. So, I mean, hopefully that's what we're targeting. But we actually haven't had any conversations with VCs that like have gotten to that point. So yeah, feel free to like reach out like in a few months.
Do you think any of that might also just be
Yeah, so I mean, we're gonna not drop out. We're gonna move to San Francisco as soon as we can because that's where the VCs and like yeah, everything cools in San Francisco. Unfortunately, yeah,
Valuations are just much higher.
way higher, more talented people, more support. It's just the culture builders there. But yeah, normally people evaluate how much a company's worth by multiplying their ARR by like 5 to like 500, depending on where you are and like if you're using AI or not, or like how tracked is your team. So yeah, like
What's ARR?
ARR is annualized recurring revenue. So how much you make in a year times 10. It's like typical like rule of thumb valuations. But nowadays with like AI, it's like they'll multiply by like 100 and like 1,000 sometimes. So,
There's also just to add on, there's
Yeah.
one more thing where, depending on how early you are, you can choose to be valued based on your next round.
Yeah.
So the SAFE, for example, what you would sign with YC, allows you to value your company at your next raise. So if you're extremely early, they don't actually take any equity up front, but you say, okay, when I go and raise my Series A like 6 months later, and my company is valued at like 15 million, I will sort of decide how much percentage I get now. So it's not only based on, you don't like have to like set a valuation in stone when you start raising, but that was for like
Yeah.
whoever asked that.
Have you considered leveraging of gaming organization and training skills now?
oh yeah, so that's something we're working on right now. We're trying to create organizations. Yeah, we should actually like be more proactive about that. We kind of got distracted with the whole outage thing. Yeah.
Oh yeah. So how did you come up with your logo? Like, how does that tie into your brand?
Oh man. So actually, so our very first, actually, it's like a fun little history thing. The original name for Save was Kudzu, and it was like, the inspiration was like, oh, Kudzu is like a fast growing vine. So we're like fast growing. And then we realized that's actually like really ass. So then our friend Andy Gao, who's a sheller, had these media assets that he wasn't using at all. And so we bought them off of him for like $200.
We actually still need to like,
Did we not?
yeah, we need to pay him.
So we will buy them off of them for $200.
Yeah.
Wait, you should show what the website so they can see like the real
Oh
logo
yeah,
now.
yeah. So this is like the website exactly. This is the dashboard and this is like the website. Yeah. So like that's like our logo. Yeah. Like these gradients are like all Andy came up with these.
Wait, actually, I
gradients.
can
Oh. And then yeah, Akash reworked the logo a lot.
Wait, okay, wait. Let me get you right. So he made this logo, but I didn't like the colors, so I changed the colors. But that design is total all him. For the gradients, I actually made I remade all of the gradients like custom in Figma. So they're like it's like kind of tough.
We also have like a lot of conversations about making sure that we like keep the gaming aesthetic. There's a point where like Akash wanted us to be like white, like
Yeah.
instead of like grayscaled or like dark mode.
Yeah.
And at some point you have to like understand that your users are like gamers and like they want like gray websites and like a lot of gradients.
I was getting too into that B2B SaaS mindset.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Were you guys inspired by the cursor homepage?
Yes.
yeah.
Bless.
Yeah. So I mean, my philosophy is like doing a lot of things is like look at people who are doing it really well and like understand what makes it so good and then copy them basically.
Yeah.
And then add your own style, but like understand what they do so good.
How have you used AI to help out with what you're building?
So AI is really good for building things quickly, but it's really bad at debugging and fixing problems. So use AI to like build the first draft, understand the first draft, and then fix all the bugs yourself. Yeah. Yeah.
I know you guys like are like maining on like games and stuff, but like what about like your just chatting stream?
Yeah, so we actually support all types of streamers now. Like we have like DJ streamers now, which is really cool.
We're the only platform that can support DJ streamers because it's
Yeah.
copyright.
And also, how does your tool work when it comes to just chatting streamers and like, cause like during video games, detecting hype moments is really really good. Because,
Yeah.
So for our detection, we have like multiple layers of like first like analyzing the categories. So like we first determine like if it's a game, what type of game, and then if there's a type of game, we get like the specific. So if it's like FPS, is it third person FPS or first person FPS, which is shooter.
FPS means first person shooter.
And yeah, first person shooter. And then, but for like other than that, if you like see there's no game, then go to the next category, which is like streamer reactions. And if it's like a music stream, we look at like the hype, the loud moments for streams, or we have like a streamer like tell a really interesting story for just chatting, look at that, etc.
Yeah. So yeah, we have like multiple prompts that we use based on the category that we analyze. That helps a lot. Like we have like a very good niche, like mix of niche users. It only works because we do